I'm Cliff Vaughn, media producer for ethicsdaily.com in Nashville, Tennessee. Joining us today via Skype from Bangor, Maine is Stan Moody. He is the senior pastor of Columbia Street Baptist Church in Bangor. He's also the author of several books and a former state legislator and former prison chaplain. Stan, thanks for being with us.
Good to be here, Cliff.
You've clearly done lots of things. Today we want to focus on your work in prisons. Your latest book is Let My People Go, Following Jesus into Our Jails and Prisons. Tell us, how and when did you get started doing prison work?
It was an interesting sidelight, I suppose, in my life when I became a chaplain at the Main State Prison, maximum security prison. Quite an effective work there. What happened in maybe mid-2009, that I became very closely aligned with a murder that it happened in solitary confinement, and I became something of a whistleblower because of the circumstances surrounding the homicide. And eventually, I left and began writing about conditions within the prison.
So you had a rather dramatic instance and dramatic involvement in the prison set. As you worked in the prison and in a chaplaincy role, what were some of the things you noticed maybe that surprised you or that you weren't expecting?
One of the things that I noticed, Cliff, was the number of evangelicals that were inside the prison system. And I haven't put that together in a formal thought process. I am concerned about the fact that people coming out of evangelical church and winding up there. And in a lot of ways, they dragged some of the fundamentalist, legalistic thinking in prison, and they are part of the process that really defines gradients of sin. Let's say, and it's very disturbing because in some ways they're back in a time warp, back into things that they learned growing up. Very difficult to break through that system. The prison system itself lends itself to that because there's a hierarchy of sins, let's say, within the prison system.
Well, you've done work in prison, and what do you think the church needs to do on the prison front?
Well, the church is doing virtually nothing at this point. Now, there are people going to the prison and ministering. It's a detached sort of ministry. If you can see what I mean. It's not getting involved or directly touching the issue. It's becoming a servant. Very difficult to do that anyway because of the security issues, and you have the difficulty of corresponding with these people on a level that is very effective. But we seem to want to bring Christ to people, but we don't seem to want to be Christ. And that's where the rub comes. A lot of people want to go in and do Bible lessons and Bible classes and studies and so forth. Not many people want to take somebody by the hand who's coming out and walk with them through the process of reentry.
Right. So I guess my follow-up and last question is the church's involvement with folks who are in prison really probably has a lot to do with involvement with folks coming out of prison and trying to reintegrate, correct?
Yeah, but there's relatively little of that going on. I mean, a lot of people going into the jails and prisons. Very difficult to get people to mentor prisoners when they come out because it can be a zero-sum game. You have to know that it's not going to work, and it's the business of touching a life, Cliff. I think that probably the reason for that, churches have not really integrated into local life the way they know that they ought to. The whole Matthew 25 concept. Giving brother and sister of Christ a glass of water to eat, or visiting. Visiting is far broader than just simply saying hello and giving somebody a Bible verse or praying. It's very difficult. There have been studies done that indicate that in the prison system itself, become involved prison ministry does not necessarily have an effect on recidivism. We have to do something more. It has to be more life-changing, discipling, and as you know, the church is not that good at discipling, even those of us who are in that culture.
Right. Well, thank you for bringing your experience to bear and for sharing it with us for a few moments. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me, Cliff.